Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming. 70 minutes worth of the Gaming Dragon today. I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Beasts of the Thorns. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarms, and you were up, and let's go. Alright, don't worry about me. I see Amora's hesitant expression, probably embarrassed by the fact that alchemical tinctures are not offered here. Amor nods, ordered from the waiter. I'll have an espresso, please. Then, without waiting for the waiter to leave, he pulled out a stack of papers and began to fill them out. What requires so much paperwork? It's quite a hassle to purchase Thornbird's solution through official channels. I peeked at the application. It's a pretty good amount he's going to be purchasing. 7 liters. Probably the capacity of the canister he took when he moved into the dorm. Is the Thornbird solution the same potion we occasionally see when we're on the human side, monopolized by the outside world? Amor nods and continues to frown as he fills out the form. I know from my time on the human side that there is a special alchemical solution in the outer worlds known as liquid gold. The outer realms have a monopoly on this potion and sell to the humans at an exorbitant price. And the solution is so special that it fixes the chemical properties of the other substances, so it's in high demand by the humans. But I didn't realize it was the Thornbird solution. No wonder the brothers are so rich. I guess they're afraid we'll sell it back to humans, so the paperwork is tedious to scrutinize. But at least it's cheap. Half the price of buying on the human side. That's a big price difference. What are you going to buy these for? The Thornbird solution is needed for the Shamanic Medical Society. Anyway, it won't spoil, so we should stock up now while we can. I suppose the lower prices of the solution in recent years has to do with Ostrom's involvement in the Brotherhood. His hunting ability is exceptional, and he has access to abundant raw materials with current prices at their lowest. I'm almost tempted to stockpile hundreds of liters and wait for them to rise. Look at this shrewd businessman, the slave of capitalism. Amor resonated with my inner sigh, grumbling in annoyance. What's wrong with making money legally? What's mine is mine. It's not like I can really buy hundreds of liters and stockpile them, but I have to fill out 15 pages of forms for 7 liters. I have to show proof of eligibility. Even my family is on the hook. Buying this stuff is more troublesome than buying gold. It is said that it is possible to turn iron into gold with this potion, but no one has ever succeeded. Amor continued to fill out the form angrily, but from the corner of my eye I saw the contents of the form. He was actually making an excessive purchase, using his sister's yearly quota. He says it's legal. Huh, you cunning fox. But I won't pick on a good friend. Ignore. I took out my phone, intending to browse the web. Maybe find something interesting. The waiter brought coffee, and both of us nodded acknowledgement. My web browser is still human. My web browser is still... What? My web browser is still human. Oh, okay. Monsters have their own browsers, but I'm used to the one I used before. However, I did deactivate my personal social media. The sympathy and disdain of human friends are equally terrible. I don't want to see that. The internet news wasn't any better. Humans exaggerate the border conflicts because of the inaction of the Outer Realm Council. News commentators strongly demand that dragons should be held accountable. I impatiently closed the web page. But at that moment I felt a gaze. Since I awakened as a monster, I've become very sensitive to gazes, especially those without good intentions. That needle-like gaze pierced my back, making me very uncomfortable. I took off my helmet, pretending to cool off. As a headless monster, I gained a special skill. My vision and hearing became unrestricted. Generally, a human's field of vision is about 120 degrees in front, but I have a spherical 360-degree view. I can see what's behind me, but normally, because of wearing a helmet, I still maintain a human's field of vision, which is more familiar and reassuring to me. But now, I could use my special skill. I saw, far behind me, a group of students in traditional high-end college suits observing me sharply. There was no coffee or food on their table. It seemed they came specifically to spy on me. I put my helmet back on. Since being visited by the government's monster counselor on the human side, I've had a bit of a psychological trauma towards guys in suits, especially those with unfriendly looks. Amora sensed my discomfort and lifted his head from the pile of documents. He looked at me, then glanced at the group of students far behind me. He raised his hand to call the waiter. When the sable waiter came hurrying up to ask if he needed anything, Amor pointed to the students. Those gentlemen are going to order. Please serve them. And with that, he slipped a tip to the mink waiter. The mink waiter quietly put the tip in a hidden pocket and walked off to ask the students a question with a businesslike smile on his face. Thank you? Fox waved his hand to indicate that it was nothing and buried his head to continue filling out the paperwork. To my surprise, however, the students ordered a cup of coffee each and just wouldn't leave. Amora's brow furrowed as he stepped up to fill out the information. and after about 3 minutes he threw down his pen, put the papers in a bag, and pulled me out of my seat. We knew we had to head towards crowded areas, but unfortunately the cafe we had just left was a bit of a distance from the other buildings. As a result, we were intercepted. They blocked our path, unfriendly. One in front and one behind. Yeah, a short, scrawny panther approached us, looking like their leader. "Can I have a moment, Headless Grim Reaper?" Headless Reaper? Are they referring to me? I looked at them, and there was no indication that they were going to make way. I sighed inwardly. "I'm in a hurry." "We are the patriotic youth of Vrykolakas. I'm sure you've heard of us outside the country. I'm Gilbert Schumpeter, the eldest son of the Schumpeter family." I lock eyes with Amora, who sends a warning message to me to obey him, so I nod to Gilbert. The panther grinned, revealing his long, sharp teeth. "It would be great if you had heard of us. The purpose of our party is to see the outer world become independent for human rule and establish a sovereign state. As we all know, 200 years ago, mankind violently and illegally subjugated the demons, making our outer limits a state under the Human Federation. Despite our false autonomy, the unequal treaties have exploited us economically as well as culturally, making the magical creatures forever subservient to mankind. We magical creatures are hunters in nature, not cattle in a barn, don't you think?" I nodded ambiguously. Apparently satisfied with my reaction, Gilbert went on smugly. "Our culture and bloodline are superior to that of humans. The only thing we lack is force, and with the Headless Shinigami joining us, it would be easy for us to establish our own nation. So what do you think? Will you join us and do the right thing? Or will you continue to play house with the cowardly Winterwakers?" "Winterwaker? Who?" Gilbert smiled slightly. It seemed our display of ignorance made him feel more sure of convincing us. "It was the foolish president of the Wild Hunt fraternity who was so proud. Wolfgang Ostrom, the coward who ran away from his mission." I looked around, and several of them were big men that Amora and I couldn't possibly beat, and it was clear that I couldn't say no, and they wouldn't listen to me even if I denied being a Dullahan. Just when I was feeling bad, Amor spoke up. I've heard that Vrykolakas are the cream of the crop of magical creatures, right?" Gilbert turned his gaze to Amor, sizing him up. "Get to the point. Dealing with elites, etiquette is of utmost importance. Even the noble Ostrom personally recruited us into the Wild Hunt to show sincerity. However, I seem to have not seen Scarlet in this." Amor looks dramatically from side to side. "Vrykolakas doesn't seem to take us very seriously in this regard." Gilbert frowned, ignored Amor, and continued to press me. "Headless Reaper. What do you think?" But I observed that the members of the group were beginning to waver, showing a lack of confidence. In a magical society that values relationships, the most important thing is sincerity. When Ostrom, the president of the Wild Hunt, personally recruited us, the Vrykolakas couldn't call in members of a lower rank to recruit us. It would obviously be rude to not value us enough. They can't say anything. If I turn them down on the spot, Gilbert is just trying to shift the focus. But I'm not going to waste such a good assist from Amor. "I'm grateful for your favor." The panther beamed, thinking the prey was in the bag. "But I'd rather talk to Eugene Scarlet." The panther's face fell, his disappointment evident. I can't help but be a little amused. "The president is busy and hasn't been around lately." I thought back to what Ostrom mentioned yesterday, that it wasn't just Eugene they were missing, but all the cadre, and I decided to take a chance. "So are you vice president, or are you a clerk?" Gilbert gritted his teeth. "None of them." "So there are no officers present?" I look around dramatically, my eyes examining each member. The general move, for creatures like them who pride themselves on being elites, couldn't continue in a hopeless fight. Losing appearances is much more serious to them than losing their lives. "Then we'll have to pick another day to talk to your chairman. For now, sorry, we must take our leave. Excuse us, please." Gilbert, his head hanging low, was the first to give way, and his men stepped back on either side of the wall to make way. We left the group in a polite manner, but I couldn't help but feel a little smug that we had won the battle. When we were far enough away, Amora looked at me with his signature expression. "Look at you, all pleased with yourself." Thanks for the assist. I hate it when they push people around like that. My guess is they're cornered. With Professor Malachite undoubtedly looking for Eugen and all of their key operatives going missing, I'm afraid there's a lot of internal pressure, and they're in desperate need of a presence that can stabilize morale, such as a Dullahan. But I'm not. They don't know yet, I'm afraid. Or maybe they do, but they don't want to believe it. If there aren't any dragons involved, they can't fathom where they'd find the guts to offend the big demon. I don't know. Bigots have bad brains. That's how it's supposed to be. On the contrary, being the Dullahan might be quite tricky. Surely Vrykolakas won't stop bothering us just because a couple of failed recruitments. As their situation becomes more difficult, they might resort to even more radical methods of pressure to pressure us. Just change the way to get rid of them. Amora's ventriloquist thoughts reached me and I glared at him. I hear your evil plans. I didn't realize that Amora wasn't at all ashamed of being caught, but instead gave me a big, handsome smile like I've never seen before. After getting rid of Vrykolakas, I said goodbye to Amor at the entrance to the Faculty of Humanities, where he had to go and submit the application papers. So I was alone. But I'm afraid of being alone. Amor promised me he'd solve it as soon as possible, and I could only watch him leave. I can't let my friends worry. But in reality, I feel strange and lonely in the outer realm. The scenery is familiar yet unfamiliar. The faces are strange and the weather is cold, also different from my homeland. I just temporarily ignore these discomforts and force myself to carry on. But it's just existing. Even without goals or hopes, monsters can simply exist, breathe, eat, and sleep. But I don't even need these three. I'm just a lump of flesh sustained by supernatural forces. Yeah, tell me about it. I wonder if I can even consider myself alive. I can't make sense of it. For the first time in my life, I don't know where I belong or where to go. My carefully planned life has been abruptly interrupted, and I've been thrown into a foreign land. I can continue studying, but no one cares about my grades anymore. I don't even like my major. What's the point of continuing? That's why I can't be alone. Whenever my attention turns inward, these thoughts flood in. Lost. Confused. Alone. I gloomily watch a group of monsters pass by, carrying huge instrument cases, apparently preparing for festival music. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone is smiling. Everyone is at the party except me. I stand outside the grand banquet, as if in another world. Alright, y'all, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye-bye!